You've got hurts, habits, and hang-ups inside your family, but who can you turn to? Today, we meet a family counselor from Powell CDC.
I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains and wipe away every stain. That I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed.
It is the 7th day of April in the year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Recovery Monday, and we're a very transparent program. So as we're just about to go on the air, Lila's over there jumping up and down, waving her hands at me. So what do you want?
Nothing.
Are you trying to get an order from the coffee guy or something?
No, I'll tell you later.
Okay. We are pleased to have you with us on this Monday. If you're listening or watching this live, we thank you. I know that there's many things you could be doing at 3 o'clock. I think, what's that one show that everybody likes? Jerry Springer. I think it's on right now. But for whatever reason, you've been led here, and I appreciate you being here. If you're watching or listening to this on a podcast, I especially like you because you have searched us out. This is a program called Recovery Monday. Recovery because we talk about recovery from life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And Monday because it's Monday. And it's sponsored by Powell CDC. My regular co-host, Lila Stafford, is in the house. Bob Montserrat is on vacation. And Ryan is producing today. And our special guest is Laura Wright. And Laura is a family and adolescence counselor with Powell CDC. And you guys have come to share with me that there's a brand new program that you guys are just starting now over at Powell CDC.
Absolutely. We're really excited about it. It's offering substance abuse services for folks between the ages of 13 and 18, or kids who are still in school. Sometimes they're more appropriate for an adolescent program as opposed to the adult services that we offer. So we're just newly underway here for about 3 weeks.
Now, is this outpatient only?
It is outpatient only.
Okay.
Yeah. It's and the duration of it, we do it 3 nights a week.
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The kids come at 4, and they're done about 7:30.
Okay.
And we have working dinners during the programming.
Okay.
So we feed everybody. On Wednesday nights, we also ask families to be involved. So that's another component of it that's a little bit different, is just we ask families to be involved, and we have them come, and we all have pizza, and we all work while we're having dinner.
That's good. That's a good one to have when you do
having
kids.
the family there makes all the difference in the world. I used to be part of, I forget the name of it. It was in West Des Moines, and when a teenager gets in trouble in West Des Moines, they get their choice of going to this place or getting in more trouble. I forget the name of it.
Youth Justice Initiative?
Yes, Youth Justice.
YJI.
And when the parents are involved in that, and they have community leaders come in and be part of this circle that try to help the person in trouble get back on track.
Now, I would assume that most of these kids, can I call them kids? Is it all right? Or do I need to use the big word adolescent?
You know, we say kids. I think kids is okay.
I don't mean to be negative to them. That just, when you're my age, everybody's a kid.
Right.
Even you're a kid, Lila.
No, I'm older than you.
Yeah, but you don't look older than me, so that makes a difference. What do you see as you have to go here compared to I want to go here with this new program? Do you think it'll be 50-50? You think most of the kids will be forced there either by the court system or their parents? Or do you see a lot of kids stepping forth and going, I may have a problem?
No, they usually have something external motivating them. Mom and dad, something legal, something along those lines, something to do with school. And that's kind of what sets our adolescent program apart, is just the fact that we recognize and understand this is not business as usual kind of adult treatment. These kids are not in a position where they're ready to say, yes, I'm an addict. And so we kind of have crafted it so that we have kinder, gentler words, and they're not, they don't go through exactly the same process because we recognize that it's not going to work.
That's interesting. Tell me words that I might use that aren't kinder and gentler, and that words that you would use that are.
Part of the cornerstone of a lot of 12-step recovery programs, right, is the admission that you're an addict, right?
Right.
And we don't really use the word addict, or we don't use the word alcoholic. in adult treatment, we talk about what forced you into treatment, right? What really got you here, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
when
low
you
bottoms.
Exactly. And with adolescents, we ask them to identify a truth about what brought them in, and then we kind of pre-test and post-test them on that after
Okay.
they've had a few days with us. So maybe this is what I think brought me in when I first got here, but now after a few days, maybe it's a little bit different.
Yeah. And we were talking a little bit before the program started that I when I got sober, I was hoping I could come in anonymously because that's what it stands for. That's the second name in the deal, anonymous. And that after a period of time, peer pressure, no, not peer pressure, people were saying, you've got a platform, you need to share it with people. And then eventually, and I know this isn't a God program, but eventually God told me that. I didn't put you here so you could quietly do this. What about the peer pressure from kids at school, though? That's got to be 10 times harder than I just don't show up at the bar on Friday nights anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of a cornerstone of part of what we are trying to teach is refusal skills, you know?
Just say no.
Well, but in a more updated kind of way.
I know.
You know, yeah, essentially.
I just showed my age, didn't I? Yes, I voted for Ronald Reagan.
And Nancy Reagan. Refusal skills are a big part of it, and peer pressure. And I would say a significant part of what we're doing is introducing them to a new peer group so that they see there are alternatives.
Yeah, playmates and playgrounds.
Absolutely. There are people out there who are not getting high every Friday night,
Right.
and they don't spend their whole weekend that way. You know, they do other stuff, and their lives are better because of it.
We had a guest on the national show here yesterday, and she talked about how all through high school and all through college, she was the smart girl, she was the A student, she was the dean's list, and she just drank and she partied, and it didn't matter because everybody else did. I thought about you know, and then all of a sudden she gets married in her early 30s, and her husband goes, you know, this isn't normal, and she thought, hell, it's not. This is exactly what people do.
Yeah.
And finally, you know, after a couple of years, she figured it out. But it was sure could relate to that. You know, a lot of years of it's not that bad. It's not a big deal. Oh, what? So I got an OWI. It's a badge of honor among my friends at the bar. You know.
Exactly.
Lila, now how much are you going to work with this adolescence program, or are you going to remain in the aftercare with the adults?
I don't think they know yet if there's going to be an aftercare. They aren't at this point yet, but if there's going to be an aftercare for them, which I hope they do, then they may become part of what I'm responsible for. But for right now, because it just started, they have to get through treatment first, and then I think we'll evaluate it.
And do you put them through, or maybe I should ask Laura, do you put them through the same 12 steps as a regular 12-step program?
I think the best answer for that is we expose them to the 12 steps, and we ask them to try out. I mean, we are still a 12-step-based, abstinence-based program, without a doubt, but we emphasize family involvement and new coping skills, the development of new coping skills. And so they're exposed to it, but do we ask them to go through the actual steps? Not at this point, because the research that we've done and the support that we've had from our tremendous leadership has been that, you know, it's just not successful at that point for a lot of adolescents. They, you know, it's just too far out there really for them to see.
You talk to young kids. Well, you hear this all the time. If you go to a 12-step meeting, a lot of them have got in trouble as a teenager, went into a meeting, and everybody's 40 and 50, and they're out of there.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't have anything in common with these people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Lila Stafford is my co-host here on Recovery Mondays. Our special guest today is the lovely Laura Wright. She is a family and adolescence counselor at Powell CDC. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario, okay?
Okay.
Dad, and I may be describing myself here a little bit, or maybe a lot. Dad is a bigger-than-life guy at home. Kind of stirs the pot, makes sure everybody's kept uneasy. You know how us alcoholics act. And there's the 15, 16-year-old son who wants to be just like Dad. And so you bring the son in, and you start working with him, and you realize what you're really fighting. It isn't the peers that the kids around the locker at Valley High School. This is Dad at home saying, oh, come on, son, buff it up. Why can't you drink a couple beers with the old man? Why do you have to? What do you do with that? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, it is. Again, we're back to the kinder, gentler thing. A lot of times and that's just the nature of family therapy. It's not real confrontational a lot of the time. You have more success if you can kind of get folks to realize that and begin to address it themselves. So, once you realize that the problem is, maybe largely at home, just based upon what you're seeing. Well, what else is going on at home? And just kind of helping, just guiding and steering and getting folks to look at specifically what is going on at home. And hopefully they come to that conclusion themselves. Most people will. By the time they get there, they want things to get better. They want things to improve.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, anytime that one person in a family is trying to get healthy, it's like a mobile, a hanging mobile. You take one piece off and then the whole mobile gets screwed up. So the whole family is trying to find their place because they know, even though they don't like that one person drinking, they know how to react, and everyone has their own roles. That person's getting healthy and now people don't know what to do. They unconsciously sometimes try to pull them back to where they were, even though they didn't like that, but they will do that.
Because they're used to dad being a certain way, and now he's not that way anymore, and they don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Plus, I've also heard that if they admit dad's different, or mom, then they realize they have to change too. That it can be done, and they don't want to change. They're just getting their feet wet being an addict or alcoholic at the age of 25 or whatever.
I'll tell you what, when one person in the family decides that they've got a problem, it is it's very hard for the rest of the family to look at themselves. Because sometimes if one admits it, then the rest have to go, ooh, I wonder if I have a problem.
Yeah.
But usually what happens, or my experience is that a lot of families do the blame game. Well, it's their problem, so I don't need to come to family therapy. It's their problem. I don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
But what they don't realize is a family disease.
It's interesting you should say that now. And I've had the support of my wife every single day that I've done this. Every single day. She has never said, what, another meeting? You got to go to a meeting? Never, anything like that. But she's been to one meeting, and that's it. And that was when I got my 1-year chip. She has no desire to come to the meeting. She has no desire to read the big book, because she has said, and I love her to death, and if you're listening, honey, I hope this doesn't hurt your feelings, but she said, this is your problem. I'll support you in your problem, but don't make this my problem, because my wife's not a drinker. So
she's still, though, like Lila said, I have the advantage of being both an addict in recovery and a family member. So, like Lila as well. And I think that's what draws a lot of us to this particular profession. But you realize that, like the mobile analogy she used, that literally when one person changes, you kind of take a look at some of the things that you've been doing as a family member, which maybe aren't so healthy. And really, in many regards, and I don't know if Lila's back this up as well, I think it's harder to be a family member than to be an addict. I tell family members that I work, because with addicts, we just take the alcohol or the drug out of the equation, right? Yeah. That's step one, and that's pretty easy. Yeah. With family members, where do you start?
Yeah. Right.
Because it really requires some honest soul searching and reflection about your behavior and all that stuff in order to figure out, what the heck am I doing that is different from.
Yep. My youngest daughter, who's 27, and I are going through a tough time. And it's because of this. It's because she is discovering subconsciously that she's one of us, but not through consumption, through the way her brain works. And half the time, half the time she's pushing away, and the other half, all right, talk to me. So I'm just blessed that there's some talk to me in there.
Absolutely.
Where there's, so far it's not all denial. Laura Wright is my guest today. She is a family and adolescence counselor with Powell CDC. It's a brand new program starting up for kids ages what to 18?
13 to 18. Yeah, we want to
13 to 18. And if anything we've said so far today makes you go, or like Scooby would, maybe you need to call somebody, because maybe you know somebody. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your kid or your niece or your nephew or your grandchild. Remember, Powell CDC is a local group of people, just like Laura, just like Lila. They're there to help. They don't trace your phone call, and there's a bunch of men with white coats show up at your front door before you've even hung up the phone. They're there to listen. They're there to help. And most importantly, they're there to love on you. We're coming back live to talk about this more on KTIA Iowa, powered by webcast1live.com.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling.
We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're back on this gorgeous Monday, live in Recovery Monday from Powell CDC. I'm J. Michael McCoy. We'll get back with Laura in just a second and talk about this new program they're starting at Powell. But before we do, the annual fundraising banquet is this Friday. Saturday night.
Saturday night, yeah.
At the Sheraton out at 50th and University. Tell us about it.
Okay, it starts at 5 o'clock. We have an auction from 5 to 6:30, and then at 6:30 we have dinner and a program, and it only lasts till 8:30, which is great for all of us old people because we can go home after that.
We can go home and get the 9 o'clock news on Fox and be in bed by 10.
Yeah. Well, after you're not drinking anymore, there's nothing to do after a certain time. We've said everything we need to say, and let's get out of here.
I agree.
Anyway, it's just a really fun night because where else are you going to be around 650, 700 people that are all in the program?
Yeah.
And we all have the same goal in life. We want to, stay abstinent-free. And Dr. Hoagland will be selling his books there.
Okay.
And then our speaker is from Minneapolis. He goes somewhere else in the winter because we're flying him in from wherever his winter place is. But he started the retreat up in Minneapolis, and it's an AA retreat where people in that 12-step program actually run the retreat. And it says retreat, but it's a treatment center.
Okay.
And so when you go there, it's $5,000 cash, and you're there in treatment for a month. So for some people who aren't successful in like our treatment plan, if they've gone through a couple times, it's not working, and they need to be inpatient for a long period of time, and they don't really have a lot of money, we'll send them there, and it's a pretty neat place. So he's going to come and talk to us.
And for those of you that heard Lila say $5,000 for a month, you're thinking, man, it's expensive. No, it's not. That's really cheap. Most recovery centers are 30, 35, 40, some even more for the same period of time.
Mine was, a long time ago, it was $40,000 cash up front.
And that'd be probably 120 nowadays.
It's expensive, but Powell isn't that expensive.
Right. Well, and you're outpatient, so.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, it's the 41st anniversary banquet and silent auction. It's at the Sheraton West Des Moines Ballroom, and doors open at 5. Silent auction till 6:30, and then 6:30 to 8:30 is dinner, program, and entertainment. And it'll be just dinner and program.
Yeah. Well, our little bleep about this show.
Oh, that's true. That'll be the entertainment part. Yeah. There will be a nice little 3 or 4 minute thing about some of the guests we've had. Won't we have it, Ryan? Yes, he's smiling at me right now as he's editing it. All right, and you can't get tickets at the door for the food reason, so you need to get over to Powell, which is at Lutheran Hospital. Where else could they go? That's probably it, isn't it?
Or at meetings.
Yeah, or
Some
at meetings.
people have them.
Yeah.
But Powell would be the best place. And the food is really good, especially for a banquet.
Yeah.
It's good food.
Yeah, it's not a buffet.
Right.
Yeah, I always go home hungry. We need a buffet next year. Laura Wright is my guest. How long have you been with Powell?
I started as an intern in 2011.
Okay.
So about June of 2011.
And they're getting ready to start a new program for family and adolescence care, and adolescence is 13 to 18. So what motivated you to get into this business of helping people with addictions and alcohol and stuff like that?
Well, I am in recovery myself, and on June 1st, I'll celebrate 23 years.
Good for you. Congratulations.
My treatment facility, I bought a $9,000 coffee cup. I went to a place up north that is kind of near the retreat, but that was always my big joke, is you bought a $9,000 coffee cup and then you still had to take out the garbage, and back in the day. I had addiction in my family growing up, and actually my parents went through Powell back in the 80s. And they successfully completed it, and their suggestion to me at the time was, why don't you go to Alateen? And I said, I don't think so. That would be too embarrassing, And then a few years later, and a few run-ins with the law later, myself and my parents were tremendous, particularly my dad, in helping me through that period. And I went to a really expensive psychologist here, as opposed to going to meetings. And I remember we would smoke cigarettes in Methodist Hospital back in the 80s, because you could do that. And she convinced me that I would take a notebook out with me, a little flip notebook, and I would count my drinks, because I didn't think I had a problem, so I'd count my drinks.
Sure.
And that notebook, by the end of the night, would be a complete mess. And count number one, I think that was 12, I don't know. And it was after that, and after 3 OWIs in a period of about 3 years, that I thought, I have a problem. And I kind of knew that I had a family history, and that's part of what motivated me. And I have often wondered, if I had been a little easier to deal with in my own teenage years, maybe I wouldn't have had the same issue, or maybe if I'd gone to Alateen, like my folks said. So I think that bit about me, I tell kids that, because I think that helps, it helps alleviate their fears, in that, here's somebody who didn't want to do this either, and look at what she's doing now. I mean, I recognize the value in it, and it's really important to me.
Yeah,
so.
it's passionate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're helping people that you know where they're coming from.
Right.
If you can get, my daughter started an Alateen group in West Des Moines, and if you can get teenagers to come and talk, I mean, the first couple times they come because their parents make them, and their hands are crossed, and it's like, I don't want to be here. But eventually,
by the way, you said that just like a 15-year-old girl.
I know, because I'm used to saying it.
Very good. But you should have put a like in there. Like, I really don't want to be like.
Anyway, they once they start talking, it's just amazing what will come out of their mouths. I learned so much from kids, and I'm still friends with all the kids but because I was in charge of that for about 6 years, and I'm still friends with all those kids. You know, and the thing I wanted to warn them about was that they even though they hated their parents drinking, they said, I'll never drink. You know, by the time they were about 18, they were getting in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just always felt like it was my duty to let them know that they may have that gene and they may start, even though they don't like what their parents are doing, they need to watch out because they may have the same problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It is tough. It is tough. You mentioned OWIs. Now, and the only reason I tell this story, because it's embarrassing, but I tell this story because I want it to relate to somebody who thinks the same way I do. I get my, first of all, I didn't start drinking until I was 34. I grew up in a house where mom and dad had 2 or 3 Coors Lights, and then they went to Ancient Age, and that was 7 days a week. And Saturday and Sunday was shortly after either noon or football on Sunday.
And you probably didn't think anything of that, did you? It was
no.
just, yeah.
It's normal.
Yeah, it is. But I hated the taste of alcohol. I mean, I'd try my dad's beer. I tried his Ancient Age. I tried the slow gin. I didn't like it. So I went all the way until I was 34 years old. And my friends would make fun of me because I was the designated driver. I even owned nightclubs and still didn't drink in them.
Yeah.
And then 34, I started to drink. And I got my first OWI within probably 90 days of drinking. And when I went back to the place that I owned, and all the kids that worked there thought it was so cool, because now I was one of them. When you're always trying to relate to the people you work with. So then, let me see here. That was 94. Then I got a second OWI in 2000, and I wore it like a badge of honor. I thought, well, that's cool. But I did determine that I would never drink and drive again. And I didn't. Even though I drank for another, 1 to 10, 9 years. Never drank and drove. In fact, when the court said I no longer had to have the blow and go in my car, I kept it in there for like 2 years longer. Because the company thought it was so weird. They even stopped charging me after a while. Because they thought it was so, I guess, noble, I don't know, that I would have it in there. But I was not going to get caught for another OWI. But I wasn't smart enough to quit drinking.
Yeah.
I would have otherwise had a 6-year drinking career rather than a 16-year drinking career. So, and the reason I share this with you, there is no badge of honor in alcoholism. Okay? Watch this is not the funniest thing you'll ever hear before somebody falls off a cliff with a beer in their hand. Okay? In the back of a police car is not fun. 48 hours in the Polk County Spa is not cool. It leads to a life of destruction. It leads to a wreckage that I'm still cleaning up, and I've been sober for 4 years. So don't wear...
Well, that denial is so much a part of alcoholism. Just, we can keep, you can get a OWI and tell yourself that you just had bad luck that night.
Right.
Or my husband used to say that. He said, well, I just didn't turn my lights on. That was the only thing that was wrong, not that he was drinking. We can say anything because we don't want it. I've always said just admitting that you're an alcoholic is the hardest thing on earth. It just feels like a 1,000-pound weight on you.
Yeah, it was interesting, and you were there in the meeting that we go to on Saturday. We had a person who was at their very first meeting, and he stood up and he gave his name and he said, I have a problem abusing alcohol.
That's why I said what I did.
I wondered.
Yeah.
Because you kind of, say what you said.
Well, I didn't want him to think I was talking right to him, so I just made it kind of general. But I went 4 years without admitting that I was an alcoholic. That I always said I had a problem drinking, but I wasn't an alcoholic. And then I just explained why I wanted to do that, and it felt like a 1,000-pound weight. But I said that for him because I could tell where he was coming from.
Yeah.
He was in that same place that I was too.
He had a folder with him, so he was obviously there because of some ordered thing.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to a meeting, I didn't admit it. I didn't say I was. But it's so funny when somebody does that now, and there's probably, 60 people in this meeting?
Yeah.
The room just goes, for just a moment. It's silent because everybody goes, okay, we got one we needed help. Got one that's not there yet. And so many people said during that meeting, Bob, that's not his name, but Bob, you're the most important person in the room. Bob, we really care about you. Bob, for whatever reason, you're here, And I always like that.
Yeah.
I always like that. Lila Stafford is my co-host. on Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, gone all week. I'm not sure where he is. It's something to alcohol related. Bob, do you know Bob?
I don't.
Bob is a DCI agent. He's with the lab. He's a forensic scientist.
Oh, wow.
And he is one of the most sought after specialists to give testimony in a court of law about what alcohol does to you. And I'm fortunate enough that he comes in here and sits with us on Sundays and Mondays and does this. So he's off on some trip. He's testifying someplace. But he's a good guy. Ryan is, of course, producing. My special guest is Laura Wright. She's a family and adolescence counselor. They've got a new program at Powell for kids 13 to 18. And so if you know someone, and you do, I'm serious, you do know someone whose kids are having a tough time. And maybe you know it because the parents are having a tough time. The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. There's hope. I mean, there's genuine hope. You call the folks over at Powell CDC. You talk to one of the counselors. We had one of them on here just a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. She was awesome. We role-played a little bit to talk about what they do on the phone. They don't trace the call and send little men in white coats screaming at your house to, take whoever's there and pull them into treatment. It's just not that way. I don't know if it ever was that way. I have friends who have been sober for, 30, 40 years, and they say before we were able to call it a disease, people thought people who drank too much were crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the only place to go was an insane asylum. Yeah. There were no treatment centers. Mm-hmm. And Betty Ford was one of the first high-profile treatment centers. Mm-hmm. But Powell wasn't far behind it. I mean, Powell started, 45?
41 years ago.
41 years ago. Mm-hmm. All right. When we come back, I'm going to do a little role-playing with Laura, and I'm going to be an adolescent who has a drinking problem. So I'm 40 years too late. But we're going to talk about how she talked to a young man who was in this type of treatment for the first time. We'll do that when we come back. Live here on Recovery Monday on KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going, though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Two minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News at 4, and then 4:03, True Blue with Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church. He'll be on with us. We appreciate you spending the time and coming in today. Remember, Powell CDC always there for you. It's part of Unity Point, and they are wanting you to want them to help them.
Can I give a phone number?
Sure, as long as it's not mine.
No, I meant for Powell.
Yeah, sure.
It's area code 515-263-2424.
Okay.
So I just wanted to put that out there if somebody needs some help.
263-2424. And Laura Wright is our special guest today. She is a family and adolescence counselor with Powell. They're starting a new program for kids 13 through 18. And you had specifically a couple things you wanted to share.
I did. We talked a little bit at the beginning about the outpatient level of care. So most kids we're going to ask to come 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we're going to ask the families to participate on Wednesday night. They also have an opportunity to participate in our regular family programming, which happens on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And a typical length of treatment is right around 12 to 15 visits. For one of our kids, that's kind of how we have customized our program. About 4 or 5 weeks, right? We don't offer any detoxification services for any of the kids. We don't offer inpatient treatment, but we also offer, Lila talked about aftercare. We do offer what's called continuing care, and those kids would come for just 90 minutes once a week. Okay. So we have a couple levels of care. So maybe there's somebody that's been around the program or has had a period of sobriety and need to kind of reevaluate that by calling the number that Lila gave, our main number. Your first step is to set up an assessment with one of our licensed credentials care managers, and they make that determination. They do an excellent job of figuring out what's gonna work best for that patient.
Now, do you try to get the kids to partner up? Do they get a sponsor of someone maybe who's still an adolescent, but maybe, sober or not using or something like that?
That's a great question. And a lot of our treatment planning is based on, along with my colleague, Annie Malden, and I, we're running the program with another fabulous staff person named Terrence, who's kind of there as our utility infielder, if you will. And we are asking them to, like I say, to check out the 12-step meetings within the community. They at least need to see kind of what it's like, and we will ask them to try to get a temporary sponsor. And in order to meet their treatment goals, they need to accomplish that. But they have not only those 12 to 15 visits of our intensive outpatient to complete that. They have that entire approximately 8 weeks of continuing care after that as well. And we're going to ask them to try it out.
Are there meetings in town designed for kids 15 to 25 or something like that?
There's a big one at Mercy Franklin on Friday nights called Young and Keeping It Real.
Okay.
And I believe that's at 7 o'clock. And there are a number of other meetings, and part of that group, I know there's a Foxhall meeting as well. That might be on Thursday nights, but there are a number of them. That's the big one that comes to mind right now.
So there is some glue out there that they can get a hold of, because I think that'd be the scariest thing. You're a junior or senior at Valley High School, and man, you just can't handle that lifestyle anymore.
Right.
But the peer pressure around you is just, and I would imagine the bullying would be terrible. So you have another place to run to and be around people like yourself.
There are some states that have high schools, and there are colleges that are abstinent-free that are, I've seen them on 60 Minutes or something. It'd be my dream. We could have something like that. It'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
Because everybody around you is sober, and that's their goal.
Yeah.
We don't have anything like that, though.
Yeah. No, we don't. I mean, we can't even, charter schools. We have a hard time getting those started. I don't know one else. But that's probably because of the inadequacy of our school board. Did you hear me on that? Yes, the old Mac just came out for a minute. Okay, sorry.
No
when I
worries.
was a political talk show host, one of the things that I just had such a hard time with is our school board because I know too much.
I hear you.
I want to be a 15-year-old boy who comes to you, and I want you to role play with me a little bit, and
Okay.
I'm gonna be a little obstinate because I'm gonna be the son of the guy that I described a little earlier ago. Daddy does it, and Mom, why am I here? Okay, so we sit down in a room, and you introduce yourself, and hi, my name's Mac.
Hi, Mac. What brings you to our program?
Oh, I was drinking on a Friday night, and a parent caught me and called my parents, and my parents didn't really care, but somehow it got to my counselor at school. And Monday I was in the counselor's office, and they said I needed to come someplace like this because they said I might have a problem, and I don't have a problem.
Okay. About how often do you drink?
Well, Dad leaves that liquor cabinet unlocked. Probably too much, but I drink every weekend. But it's not like I get up in the morning. Sometimes on Monday I need a little shot to get over the shakes from Sunday, but not that often. My dad and mom drink every night. I'm certainly not like them, and they're not alcoholics.
Right. How much would you say you drink when you do drink?
Oh, I usually keep a fifth to myself.
No.
I like vodka, so yeah, probably, and a couple beers.
Okay. So you're drinking a fifth, couple, 3 times a week, would you say?
Yeah, maybe, but that's not that much.
Okay.
And I might share the fifth with another kid, if he doesn't have any money to buy any.
Right.
And my mom and dad say, hey, if I want to drink, come on home and bring my kids that want to drink, because they'd rather have me at home drinking than, wandering outside by the come and go.
Sure. There are some parents that subscribe to that. Absolutely.
You don't agree with that?
I don't know if I agree with it or not necessarily. I don't know. Does it cause problems with other parents?
No, and mom and dad got in trouble from this one guy, but Johnny was a narc. I mean, he just he couldn't hold his liquor, and so he blamed it on us that he got drunk that night. And I don't recall anybody pouring it down his throat.
Right. Absolutely. So maybe there are some other folks that kind of got annoyed because the bottom line is that it's not legal for you to have it, whether your parents give you permission or not. Right?
I thought it was okay if I drank in my own parents' home. That's what my folks tell me.
Yeah.
That if you're drinking in a home, supervised, you can drink underage, right? Isn't that true?
I still think anytime you're in possession of it, I don't think that's the law. I mean, but
Okay.
I mean that's your parents' call as far as what goes on in their
Well,
home.
who cares about what the law says?
Yeah.
We
Right.
change them all the way anytime anyway. So
Sure, absolutely. So do you think that it's causing any kind of an issue in your life? Does
No.
it make anything harder at all or easier?
no, it makes it easier.
What does it make easier?
I mean, school's tough.
Yeah.
And the rules they've got at school, and we've got bullies all over the place. And sometimes if I can just, skate through the weekend, then the week's not so bad.
Yeah.
And it's fun being drunk. I like the way it makes my head feel.
Yeah.
Plus, the girls tell me I'm better looking when I'm drunk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I could see where that might happen,
Yeah.
right?
I'm ugly like this.
So-
Think of what a pint of vodka can do for me.
So if it's working out for you, it makes things a little bit easier, a little bit smoother socially, right? Is there a downside to it at all?
Yeah, the school people, I mean, if this kid wouldn't have told his parents, and then his parents told my counselor, nobody'd know. I mean, nobody knows. If I come home and I'm a little tipsy, my dad just slaps me on the back and says, "Way to go, son! You're going to be a man soon." You know?
Yeah, that's kind of gives you a conflicting message.
Well, I want to
doesn't
be
it?
like my dad when I grow up.
Sure.
He handles his liquor just fine. He's only he tells me he's only got picked up for drunk driving twice. So that's not too bad for a guy that's been drinking for 25, 30 years.
Yeah. What else do you admire about your dad?
Oh, he's honest.
He's honest.
Yeah. He loves the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
I think he loves my mom. He says he loves my mom. I don't see a lot of that stuff because, he doesn't show his affection. I mean, who should? No man should, right? I mean, we shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to break this for just a second because we're getting to a break and I'm feeling Quite pompous, quite frankly. But you kind of see the way it goes, though, right? By the way, you're very good.
I was just
Good
thinking
job.
that she's so calm.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could be that way.
All right, last break. We're coming back. Laura Wright is my guest from Powell CDC. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for watching. Love this show. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on KTIA Iowa, powered by webcast1live.com.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, 10 before the top. Sorry about that, Ryan. We are live here in the studios of webcast1live.com on KTIA Iowa, the Salem Radio Network News at the top of the hour, and then 3 after that handsome hunk, Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church, in the house with his program True Blue. Don't forget, it's the 41st annual banquet and silent auction for Powell CDC. It happens this Saturday, the 12th. 5 o'clock doors open. Silent auction runs till 6:30. Then at 6:30 we have dinner and a speaker, and you'll be done by 8:30 and home by the time Fox News at 9 comes on. So if you've never been to one of our banquets, we would encourage you to do that. Tickets available now, either at a 12-step meeting or you got to go to Powell to get your tickets. And they're what, 25?
Yes.
So good dinner, good evening. That's well worth it. Cash bar. No, I'm kidding. All right, Laura Wright.
No, we have a whole bunch of coffee, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Is it going to be good coffee or is it Lutheran coffee?
No, it's good coffee. It was good coffee last year.
Yeah, they just didn't have enough of it. So
Right.
this year, that's all anyone has said. Just make sure there's enough coffee, because last year they didn't have enough.
They ran out. Okay. Laura Wright is my guest. She's a family and adolescence counselor. By the way, here's the number. If you want to write it down for Powell, I know. You may not be calling it because you're not sure we said anything that relates to you hardly, right? I mean, okay, maybe a little, maybe, but just write the number down. 263-2424. That's 515-263-2424. A brand new program starting up at Powell. And Laura, you said something interesting during the break. That little guy that I created a few minutes ago, you wouldn't take him.
He probably wouldn't make it to me. He'd kind of probably be held up by our care managers, because they're the ones who kind of make the determination as to what's the patient's level of motivation, how committed are they? Because if they don't see that they're going to get anything out of treatment, even a piece of paper saying they completed that they can take to the judge or the counselor or whatever,
right.
Then it may not be for them. I mean, there are what we call stages of change, and if you're not at least pre-contemplative. Well, you definitely you were pre-contemplative in your character previously. You got to be thinking, or maybe kind of a little grain of doubt, a little something in the back of your mind saying, maybe I have a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you don't think you have a problem, you're not a candidate for treatment.
Well, and the little character that I created, I was shaking my finger at Dad. Because I think there's dads out there like that. I unfortunately was one of those dads that told my kids, just control it, but I wasn't drinking yet.
Yeah.
Once I got drinking, then I started telling my kids, don't drink. I mean, look what happens to you when you drink. But yet they continue to watch me consume. But denial, we always say, is not only in Egypt and a river in the Nile. No.
A river in Egypt.
Thank you very much. But it also, it can be in a 13-year-old, What's it do to a 13-year-old brain? How is it different, that alcohol that impacts that 13-year-old compared to how it impacted me at 48?
It's not, honestly, it's not so much alcohol that we're seeing. And since we've been around to the schools, we see a lot more marijuana. And then, of course, you have some newer stuff that is out there that is just deadly. It's just flat out deadly.
Yeah, what's that stuff called? K2 or whatever it is.
Or anything synthetic.
Yeah.
Or the bath salts and some of the other stuff, and we don't know exactly how it's created, and but you see a lot of.
Dr.
marijuana.
Wise used to say it affects the part of your, these kids their brain is still growing, and so some of the opiates that they're taking, overdosing on those, affects your brain, the growth of your brain, and some kids are never the same after that.
Yeah, they're just kind of stuck at stupid.
Well, we've seen. I had the opportunity to work on the weekends, and we still have staff to do that. And part of our job on the weekends is to go through and do consults in different areas of the hospital. And we've seen kids after having smoked K2 that go into a psychosis that they don't come back from. And I mean that's just very real. But Lila's exactly right. That's what Dr. Weiss has always said, and that's what research tells us too. And this opening a whole new dialogue now with the legalization of marijuana and that debate in different states, because how can it? That's just further ammunition, right, for kids to smoke pot.
Right.
And the reality is it dramatically interferes with brain development at the adolescent level. I mean,
marijuana does.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It absolutely does. Plus, then you still have the societal impacts, right? I mean, you're going to get in a car. Are you really going to drive high? I mean, and people have an argument that it's natural, but there's a lot of information out there about how negatively it impacts the developing brain kids before they are where they're fully developed. So it's not good.
It lowers your ambition too. I mean, if you smoke enough of it, you're just sitting around doing nothing all the time.
And I was never a big pot smoker because I don't like to smoke, but the problem I have with that, and I don't disagree, but I know some men and women who are incredibly successful and productive who smoke 2-3 times a day. I mean, golf is not really about golf to them. It's about getting away and being able to smoke a couple joints. And these guys are incredibly successful.
That must have been those guys we saw today on the way here. We took the elevator at the parking lot, and they weren't successful, but they were 3 bums sitting on the ground smoking pot.
Oh, wow.
In the parking garage.
Parking garage.
And it was like, do you really think that no one knows this is what you're doing? It smelled so bad there.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Don't you, and I mean this seriously, don't you think you should sit down and talk to them?
They were too scary.
Okay. Now you got to protect yourself.
In that environment, anyway. They wouldn't be scary if they walked into our doors.
Right. But in that environment.
In that environment, I would be tromping on their ground.
All right.
Plus, you don't want to argue with somebody who's currently high or drunk. You know, sometimes you actually have to become a counselor to learn that. That's a tough lesson.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, I'll bet. Thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You're welcome. Give me some tough advice for parents out there who know they've got a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid who's drinking or smoking dope, or they used to be so smart, and I love the kids I hang around with, but the group they hang around with changed, and now they're dressing different and listening to this music I don't understand. Well, how can you help me?
The biggest thing is to try to keep those lines of communication open. And we learn at Powell through courses and training that we receive that the most important thing in keeping family communication open is creating a safe environment where people feel like they can say what they need to say and not feel like they have to defend themselves or that they're at risk of being attacked or anything like that. So to keep the lines of communication open is a big thing, and just act interested. I mean, we all know as parents, right, how our lives are and how busy things get, and just try to remain connected. For us personally, family dinners are a big thing. That's part of why we tried to create this around mealtime, because we're encouraging folks to continue to do that, keep those lines of communication open. And then, the other thing as parents, which is so hard, is to remain consistent. And we want to make it easier for our kids, right? We want to make things better. We don't want them to have to go through perhaps what we went through. But if we, as parents, in any way interfere in the natural consequences of their own actions, we're actually doing them a disservice.
Laura Wright's been our guest. Lila's been along. Ryan, thanks for producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy. I ask one thing of you. Pick somebody you don't like. Pick somebody you don't like being around. You might even use the H word, that you hate them. And this Lenten season, would you pray for them, please? Just pray.